everyone, it's Andy with The Mortal Guitarist, and this is the first of a two-part set of videos which is going to cover practice. In this one I'm going to talk about what practice is and what to practice, and in the second one I'm going to take a look at how to make the most out of practice and do it effectively. So what is practice? Practice is the bit that goes in between learning and being able to do. So it takes knowledge, which is something that maybe you get from a video or a book or a magazine or a teacher. It takes knowledge and it turns it into skill, where skill is something that you can actually use. It's sort of fairly simple, but it's just worth sort of mentioning that some things that you learn, you don't need to have as a skill. So if you wanted to know the interval breakdown of a major scale and you looked it up and you find out that it goes tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, that's it, you know it now. You don't need to go and actually develop that as a skill. If, however, you want to be able to pick up a guitar and play a major scale in any key anywhere on the neck, you've got to know how to practice sitting ahead of you to get that internalized. So the nature of practice is maybe a little bit confusing to some folks because it's very simple to think that I need to be able to do something. I will sit down, I'll practice, and when I'm sitting there grinding away at it with a guitar in my hand, I expect to get better at it. Now, a simple example, and by no means it's kind of every case, but a lot of the time when we're practicing, we're taking something and we're trying to get it up to tempo. We're trying to get it so that we can do it at a speed that suits the music that we want to play. And we'll sit there with a metronome clacking away at us and we'll be banging away, and at the end of the session we can't play it as quickly as we started off. Now, what I'm saying here is that is not something to worry about. The nature of practice is that it takes knowledge, it turns it into skill, but you don't have the control about when that skill necessarily comes out. Now, some things are just dead easy. If you want to be able to play, the classic minor pentatonic or blues scale, you can probably get that in 10 minutes to the point where your fingers will go to the right frets on the right strings and you can just play. There may be a lifetime's work to actually find all the possibilities of what you can do with it, but to simply be able to play it, that's a fairly short-term sort of goal. If, on the other hand, you wanted to learn Van Halen's Eruption solo, you're probably not going to get that done by 6 o'clock tonight. That's something that you maybe need to give yourself 3 months and give yourself some small blocks and goals to work on. Certainly with things like learning song progressions, you can learn the parts of a song and how they flow together fairly quickly. If you are trying to develop a technique out, if you're trying to get maybe a bit of that sort of country style chicken picking thing going, or sweeping, tapping, anything that actually takes some real motor skills to do, you probably need to view that as being a longer term kind of goal. An example of this would be me and sweep picking. I love the sound of sweep picking, but I have to face the fact that if you sweep twice in a gig, you're probably doing it at least once too often. My fingers just don't seem to get it. My brain knows the idea, I know what I'm meant to be doing, but I cannot reliably sweep through arpeggios. Sometimes it works and sometimes it's a train wreck. And if you can't do it every time at tempo, simple fact of life, you can't do it. Now, I find I have got recordings of rehearsals that I've been in with my band, and when you get into actually playing music as against practice, so whether you're working in a rehearsal or at a gig, or you're recording, or you're just jamming along to some backing tracks, when you're making music as against practicing, you kind of empty your mind of all those things. So you're not thinking in terms of scales and notes and intervals. You're simply expressing, you're simply making music. And when I'm in that mode, I've got recordings at rehearsals where I have done some gorgeous sweep picking, which is far better than I would say my skill level is. And that's kind of what practice does for you, is that you work at it. You don't necessarily feel whilst you're doing the practice that you're getting better at it, but it becomes a part of you, it becomes part of your kit bag of things that you can do, and it comes out when it's, when it's a suitable time when you want to do that. The great thing about that is that once you've internalized something, it doesn't actually matter where it came from. It becomes you and it becomes a part of you. But do not worry too much about the fact that when you sit down in a practice session, you will get times when you seem to be going backwards. That doesn't matter. But what does matter is that you don't spend all of your time when you're meant to be doing sort of your guitar development on something that's going to take you a year to do, because that's not going to make you very happy. If you're a beginner, for instance, you might want to play a song, and that song might have a C, a D and a G major chord in it. So go and learn your C, D and G major chords and learn to play the song and make yourself happy. Have some fun while you're doing this stuff. That is really important. And if you can get that today or tomorrow or by the end of the week, if it's your first song, if you are an absolute beginner and you're just starting to do this stuff, the moment you get your first song that you can play all the way through, it's like a big light goes on. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful moment. Don't spoil that by having lofty goals that are going to take you so long that you'll have given up interest in the instrument by the time you get there. That is really important. Learn something and practice something that you can do easily that makes you happy. Make a list, make a detailed list of the things that you want to do. I need to keep me interested or to meet my deadlines. I've got the urgent stuff. I've got the stuff that I have got to get now. If it's a lick from a solo, if it's an intro to a song and it's a bit of a stretch for you, give yourself some time on that, work through it, get that into your fingers. Don't worry if you can't do it all in day one, but go back to it once, twice, 3 times a day, go back to it the following day, just keep doing it and just keep doing it. And then every now and again, turn the metronome off, put the track on that you're working along with and see how you get on with it. So get your short-term stuff, get your slightly longer-term stuff. This might be, supposing you've got 2 songs to learn, one of them you need for a rehearsal now, and it's nice and simple. It's a 3-chord, bang it out and, jump about song. And the other is something that's got a bit of intricate work in it. But you really want to learn it. Stick that on your medium-term list, give it time when you've got time for it, and just feel that you're working forward and developing with it. And then set yourself something which is, a big journey, but that you can break down into individual parts. And then when you find out that you don't have an hour to spend or 2 hours or 4 hours to spend on your practice regime today, that you've only got 10 minutes, take something that's on the urgent list, something that's on your short-term list, and blat through that, because it will make you better in a shorter amount of time. So there you go. Practice being the thing that takes you from knowledge to skill, and skill is what we guitar players all need. And when it comes to priority, give yourself your urgent, your medium, and your long-term stuff, and put some stuff in all of that that's going to make you feel good about being a guitar player, that's going to make you happy. Yes, I know it's a bit of a corny concept, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with making yourself happy with your guitar. And then stick to the plan and work through that. Okay, hope that's of some use to you. In the next session, we're going to talk about how to practice effectively, how to make the most of it, and how to not damage your playing by practicing. Until then, it's Andy with the Mortal Guitarist. Take care, see you soon.